Hello everyone, this is Chase Pounds. In today's video, the topic of discussion would be about a famous survivor of the Titanic known as the Unsinkable Molly Brown. What brought me to this subject is if you see my previous video, it's from last week. Last week was technically the second to the 210th anniversary of the sinking of the RMS Titanic. And this also happens to be around Easter that I also watch a film called The Unsinkable Molly Brown. It was a Broadway musical by Debbie Reynolds that starred Debbie Reynolds. And it was a tape I recorded back when I was in 5th grade. I've seen it a dozen times since I was in 4th grade. And it just also happens that yesterday I was watching a documentary. Last night I was watching a documentary on the biography of Molly Brown. It was one of those, if some of you may have seen them, one of those A&E documentaries, biography documentaries, and it was on the Unsinkable Molly Brown. And it was also, even before that, a person at work had gotten into conversation. My dad had brought up how I was into the Titanic, and he told one of my fellow co-workers that we have a cat named Molly Brown because she was born on April the 14th, around when the Titanic sank. And so he wasn't familiar with the story of the Unsinkable Molly Brown. I kind of told him what the story was about. But that kind of made me give an idea about giving a topic for this video on Molly Brown, because of those three things. But those who aren't familiar with the story, who may be familiar with the story of Molly Brown, is that she was actually a born native of my home state, Hannibal, Missouri, and she moved to Denver. As she over time, she moved to the Blackville, Colorado, which is a small mining town. And then as she ended up married to a man named J.J. Brown. And then they struck after they struck gold gold, they became prosperous and became rich, and Molly Brown became a well-known socialite. But she's mostly known to, I guess, most people in this day. She was the heroine of the Titanic. The famous survivor of the Titanic. She was a heroine for taking charge of one of the lifeboats, letting the women row. And with her heroes, she won the Nobel Peace Prize. And the Peace Prize. Prior to the Titanic, she wasn't known as Molly Brown. She was known as Margaret Tobin. Then Margaret Brown when she married J.J. Brown. And to her fellow friends, she was sometimes nicknamed Maggie. But it was only after her heroism of the Titanic that she was given the moniker the Unsinkable Molly Brown. And that moniker stuck. That name stuck. And that was further perpetuated in later on in Broadway musicals, film, and as well as in television. And most of these depictions from the 1964 film with Debbie Reynolds, as well as the Broadway musical, it portrays Molly with Debbie Reynolds. But then you also had depictions of Molly Brown by the late Cloris Leachman, who some of you may be familiar with her from the TV show The Mary Tyler Moore Show. But she also portrayed Molly Brown in an early 1957 television show, not very known of, called Telephone Time, and it chronicles the story of Margaret Brown, well, mainly her heroism on the Titanic. Then she also portrayed Molly Brown again in the 1979 film SOS Titanic. And then there was the portrayal of Kathy Bates, portraying Molly Brown in the 1997 James Cameron film with Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. Most of you may have seen that movie, very popular movie. And in each of these depictions, Molly Brown is often portrayed as being rugged, country, kind of a country lady, rugged, hillbilly-ish type person. But in reality, she wasn't like that. She was a well-brought, well-to-do socialite. She was very sophisticated, spoke different languages, went to operas, involved in civic events, involved in charities. She started her own charity. She was involved in women's liberation, and of course, women's right to vote during the later part of her life. But she really didn't like to be called Molly because they say that it was supposed to be offensive for Irish women to be named Molly. But that's the truth of Molly Brown. She was a real well-to-do socialite. Feel free to comment on this subject. This is another video by Chase Pounds. Thank you. Stay tuned for my next video.